Alright, somebody wanted me to go over this again and show the modifications to make it a manual valve body. So what we did was we removed the 1-2 shift valve. The instructions are pretty clear. So we're in the valve body here, and the modifications in the valve body was the 1-2 shift valve. Here's the factory valve. Here's the replacement valve. See, it's a little bit different. And we're also adding a red spring. Okay, and that's in the 1-2. Here's the rest of the 1-2 assembly. Okay, so let's install that. See if I can do this with you guys, just getting a little bit of a view anyway. Putting the assembly together here, this is what it's going to look like when you put it together. The flat part of the valve goes in first. Cone part of the spring goes towards the top of the valve, and the large part of the spring rests on the valve body. I'm going to slide that in. You can't put it in wrong, so slide this around. I want to make sure that it goes in there nice and easy and turns. This stuff all has to work perfectly or it won't shift. This is pretty much the part that makes the tranny work. Compress that piston. Reinstall your pin. Push the pin down with a scribe. Don't pound on the valve body, because if you do, you can damage it. So there we go, the 1-2 shift valve is reinstalled, the pin's installed. That modification is done. Now the only other modification on the 1-2 shift valve is we installed this plug on the back side here. It's an aluminum plug that comes in the kit. Okay. The next modification, let's go over to the instructions here. So there's a couple things we have to do inside the transmission, and I'll do that when I put the tranny back, flip it over. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we already have the clip removed here, and we're going to remove the spring. So here's the spring. The spring would generally be under the cup. You have to compress that with a C-clamp. You can push it down with your hand and take the snap ring off. I use a little C-clamp. Works really well. So we've already removed our spring. This is a factory spring. It's quite substantial. It's a big ass spring, and we're taking that out and discarding it. So let's put a little fluid on the piston, and then we'll reinstall that. Putting a little tranny fluid on the ring. Replace the sealing ring on here. And you just work this ring in with a scribe, real slow like. Try not to poke yourself in the hand like that. There you go. Just work it down. Next we're going to put the snap ring on. I hope you got that or not. I need a camera stand. It's an E-clip. There's a groove right there on the rod. We're going to have to put the camera down because I need two hands to do that. Alright, got your snap ring pliers or needle nose pliers. Make sure that's in there. Pull the piston up and make sure that it doesn't come out of the bore. And it doesn't, it's good to go. That completes that. And I think that's all the modifications in the valve body itself. You did have to drill a hole. Let me see if I can, I don't have a flashlight, but there's a hole that had to be drilled right in here. And that's done. So the next modification, we'll set this off to the side. We're done with the valve body. It's all over for that. The next modification is going to be the let me put this somewhere so I can show you the book. Alright, we got the valve body done. And then the high pressure valve is located in the transmission. I'll show you here in the instructions. There's a good picture of it here somewhere. Doop, doop, doop. Sorry about that. This book's terrible. Here's a different one. So here's the high pressure valve. That'll be the modification in the transmission. We will remove the snap ring. We will replace the spring, whether it's a slide spring, the brown spring. You have to modify the valve under said plunger. You grind the valve flat, like so. Okay, got that. You reinstall this plunger. You reinstall the spring. And then you reinstall the snap ring. Here's the exploded view. There's also a shim that goes under the spring to increase the pressure. So that'll be tomorrow. I'll show you that when I do that in the training. Here's our valve. Here's our washer. There's a flat shim that should be in there. There may be one in there. May not be. This is called a spring retainer. And then you got your spring, you got a little valve, and then you have your plug. Alright, so that's that on that. And the only other modification that we had to do, well, there's two more things. There's this plug right here. You take your O-ring off the modulator valve. You reinstall this and you leave the valve in the transmission case. You take the modulator off and there's a valve in the case. You leave that in and you install the plug. Alright, that's that. There's our shim, there's our snap ring. These two O-rings provided here are for the tube that feed the filter. Here's our governor assembly. What we've done here These are the factory springs. These springs let the governor open and close. We've taken the black springs supplied in the kit and placed them in the location of the factory spring. This holds the governor in an open position where it's very open all the time. It can't close. And that is it for the modifications for the shift kit on a 400. And that kit, oh, the other modification would be the separator plate, which is also provided in the kit. There's two plates. A lot of times you have to drill these. I thought this kit was pretty nice that it comes with the plates where you don't have to drill them. You don't have to use the factory plate. You can use the new plate. Or you could take this and overlay it on the factory plate and drill it and save this for a pattern if you wanted to, if you were that kind of person. One of these plates is for competition, and one of these plates is for street strip. So, they both look the same to me. Here's a little bit of a difference right here. And you got these three holes. You got a big hole, little hole, and right here it's little. So, you know, it's just a loose movement of fluid is all it is on a valve body and an automatic transmission. Controlling the fluid and the pressure and stuff like that. So, those are all the modifications to the shift kit. There's two valves that you get. I guess there's a smaller one and a larger one. Ours required the larger one. And the only thing left up here are these two A&N fittings I have to install in the case. And that's it. Say hey.
Hey. Chip's coming tomorrow. He wasn't home.
He wasn't home? Well, got his bus all done. He's not home. So there we go. And then I think you guys are up to speed on the new nose cone over there because of the issues with that. So don't know if I'll get to work on this tomorrow. It'll probably be Friday at the hospital. At the hospital thing tomorrow, and I'll be home incoherent for a while. So I throw you a couple of videos up today.
Those glasses are sexy.
So anyway, the only other note on this when you're doing this is they recommend Type F transmission fluid for the fluid used in the assembly. And I didn't use a whole lot of fluid. I don't want to slop it up. All the valves operate freely and stuff, and that's the main thing you need to know. That everything moves freely in here. This is the main brain. Taking the pieces out of the tranny and replacing them is just pretty basic, you know. If you've never done it before, you know, you can take it apart with some basic tools. You need a press for some of the apply pistons to replace the seals on those, which, you know, it's not really unattainable. You could also make one. There's a couple guys on YouTube that'll show you how to make a tool if you don't have a press. You can get some all thread and you can pull your parts off and stack them on the all thread the way they come out, and you can take them off the all thread and stack them right back in there the way you took them out. And this part of the tranny is pretty basic, and the hardest part about doing automatic trannies is keeping the valve body clean and making sure all this operates properly. And hopefully we'll get this done soon and I can get it in the car and get a drive shaft made, and we can get that Nova running. The other thing that they did make a note in this book that the detent switch gets left unhooked, and it still gets reinstalled just like it would if you were going to hook it up. Here's the detent switch gasket, and that was the only other note as far as the shift kit was concerned. So pretty basic, nothing you can't do. Greg Porter said he'd like to try this sometime, and I'm sure he'd be quite capable. You know, it's just got to have a little bit of recall, or you have to lay it out somewhere where you can stack it back in just like you took it out. The other thing you can do is on the book here, when you look at the book, the center support, you can put all this stuff together on the floor and not in the case. and you can air check it. And you use these 3 holes. I think this is reverse, direct, and then forward drum. I might have those mixed up, but you know, those 3 holes represent reverse, the direct drum, and the forward drum. And this is where the fluid's applied through here that makes the apply pistons come up and make the pressure plate lock the clutch back up. So you can assemble all of this out on the floor, put your center section in there, and just blow check all your drums, make sure everything works correctly, and then put it all in the case. And 9 times out of 10, everything will work just fine. They're pretty forgiving, and you know, a good book like this is a good piece of literature to have too if you're going to tackle it. It's got all the exploded views, and if you don't know the name of something, you can just look at the number, come down, and you know, it makes it easier to get parts that way. The guys that are in this business sort of, you can't describe the way it looks, you know, you gotta know the name of the part. So that's the main thing. So I mean, it's pretty basic. It wasn't too bad. Here's the center support again. That's the main hub that's in the center of the case. So hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope that helped somebody out. And I also picked up some stuff to do a tranny brake tranny. And we're going to do that 350 next. That's a tranny brake tranny, but it's already a tranny brake, so I won't be changing it over. It's already built. It just broke the sprag, so we're going to take it apart, replace the sprag, and then go from there. Here's your governor parts list there. You get the cover gasket, 1 red cone spring, 1 gray cone spring, and 2 black governor locking springs. So this is an additional parts list. I lost this little piece of paper, was folded over. This is completely different than my other one, but so there we go. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments there. I'll try to answer your questions for you, and I'm sure we'll get more familiar with them as I rebuild a couple of them. I got a Turbo 350 next. I have a Ford overdrive unit out there out of one of the Mustangs I need to go through. And then I also have a standard freeway flyer we need to build, which is pretty basic. You guys have seen that a couple times now. So that's where we're at. That's what we're doing. And I hope everybody has a good night. Don't forget to push that record button. I'll be looking for something to watch tomorrow. Try to make the best of it. That's all we can do. And get a cat. It'll make you happy.